So meta-analyses seek to combine the results from multiple studies to give an overall estimate. While they can be great tools for finding the consensus on a particular topic, it's important to remember that a meta-analysis of many small studies is not equivalent to a single well-designed large study. Because if every study in the meta-analysis is subjected to the same bias, the overall estimate obtained in the meta-analysis will also be biased. But there are two important things to look out for when you're reading a meta-analysis. First, how did the researchers select the studies that were included? And second, what types of studies, i.e. what study designs, were included? Let's take a look at an example of a meta-analysis. This study explores the relationship between hypertension and risk of cataract. Let's take a look at the methods section, where we can find the answers to our questions about methods. Here you see in the search strategy and study selection section, it reads PubMed, Web of Science, and the Cochrane Library databases were searched for original articles published between January 1990 and May 2014 on the relationship between hypertension and cataract risk. The search strategy included cataract, hypertension, and human studies. In the present meta-analysis, the included studies met the following inclusion criteria. 1, original research papers reporting independent data. 2, case control, cross-sectional, or cohort studies estimating the influence of hypertension on cataract risk with odds ratio or relative ratio and its 95% confidence interval. And 3, English articles published from January 1990 to May 2014. We excluded papers that were not age-adjusted, as age is considered the most reliable independent risk factor for cataract. So let's pull out some keywords. PubMed, Web of Science, and the Cochrane Library. January 1990 to May 2014. Cataract lens opacities, crystalline opacities, hypertension, high blood pressure. Human studies. Original research papers. Case control, cross-sectional, or cohort studies. Excluded papers that were not age-adjusted. We're first given information about the location for the searches, in other words, where the studies were looked for. And these included 3 databases, PubMed, Web of Science, and the Cochrane Library. We're then told that when the studies took place, between January 1990 and May 2014, and the search terms listed here are important indicators of how large the initial search was. Here, especially if you have some content knowledge, you'd be able to tell whether the researchers left an important search term out. The meta-analysis excluded any non-human studies. Again, this is important as you want your results to be comparable. Only original research papers were included. In other words, abstracts, editorials, or conference proceedings were not included. The studies included were case control, cross-sectional, or cohort studies. And finally, the researchers excluded papers that were not age-adjusted. This is key, as it is further explained in the text that not adjusting for age would introduce bias, since age is a major risk factor for cataract. But you can read the full article in PLOS One.